This is Lee from pwmania.com, and I'm very, very honoured to have the one and only Progress World Champion, Spike Trivet, here with me again. My first interview a year ago when things were at the start of what has been an incredible set of matches. They've been brutal, they've been emotional, they've been everything you'd want as a fan. I mean, I can't speak on your behalf, Spike, and I'll ask you, but it all comes to Sunday. Progress, heavy metal, sold out at the Electric Ballroom in the first ever steel cage match. And Spike, it's been a year since we spoke, as I said, and you said then that you would take Cara's torch and you'd light your own. You've clearly done that. You've had an amazing championship reign so far. How would you say the year has been, and especially your championship reign? How's it going?
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's good to see you again. I appreciate it. How's it been? Yeah, I mean, it's been exactly the way that I wanted it to be. I think that 2 or 3 years ago, especially pre-pandemic, and even a little bit post-pandemic, there was a lot of people who I think would have laughed at you, and laughed at me at the thought of Spike Trivet being Progress Men's World Champion, main eventing a Progress show to its first sellout since they came back in the pre-pandemic. I think that, and I think that a lot of people would have laughed at you, and certainly did laugh at me at the thought of that. And I think that this just proves that anything can happen. I think it proves, and I think that I've proved everybody wrong. I think I've proved certain people who didn't believe in me in the past, whether they be certain people in offices across the country, or fans, or even my own family, and Tom Dawkins, Cara Noir. I think I've proved them all wrong. I think that, I'm not one for huge inspirational conversations and huge inspirational affirmations, but I do believe that this too shall pass. I believe that eventually everything works out the way that it should, and time is your ally. And if nothing else, just wait and do what you know is right, and it will get you to where you need to be, where you deserve to be, and everybody will eventually realize what they were wrong about, realize what was right in front of them. And I think that this story with Cara Noir has been, I think it's been the best story in British wrestling over the past 18 months. I think it's been the best story. I think it's been one of the best stories in wrestling around the world for the last 18 months. I'll put that up against anyone. I'll put that up against any other story going on. And I think that it's extremely difficult just to pull back the curtain. I think that it's extremely difficult in modern wrestling, particularly modern British indie wrestling, to create anything that has this level of heat, and people care that much about it, and people investing that much in characters where they really want to see somebody like Cara Noir win, and they really want to see someone like the Vulture Spike Trivet lose. And I think that this cage match is going to be the culmination of a good old school blood feud, and I think that's what British wrestling has missed for such a long time. And while it's played merry hell with my body, and it's played merry hell with my mind at times, I'm very proud to be part of it, and I'm extremely ready for whatever Cara Noir is going to throw at me. And yeah, I'm grizzled, and I'm broken, and I'm bruised, and I'm ready for more.
Amazing. I mean, from our point of view, from my point of view, it's one of the best feuds I've ever seen. I think we've not wanted to end. I didn't think it could go further than what was there in February, which was incredible. Incredible. I thought it was
Thank you.
storytelling, just a brutal match. I thought it was incredible. And that's just one of many matches that I think over 18 months pre and post pandemic that you've put on at Progress, it's really been a shining light. And there's been some massive title victories. When the title's been on the line, what would you say are your greatest victories when the Progress Men's World title was on the line?
That's really interesting. That's really interesting. Defending and being the first person to defend defend the title in Dubai, going over to Dubai to work for WrestleFest DXB, being able then defending it against Axel Teacher was a really big thing for me. Doing it out there again, but wrestling Axel Teacher was a huge moment for me. One day, hopefully, we'll be able to do that again in the ballroom or again on UK soil. So the more sort of home audience can see it. The mini feud, not even a mini feud, the business and story that I did with Driller Dan Maloney.
Yeah,
that was a big that was a narrative that I was extremely proud of, and that was a narrative that I really wanted to go against him. I really wanted to throw hands with him, and we came out of that with we're very different people, and he's a tremendous in-ring competitor. We don't see eye to eye on many things. I'm sure he'd agree. But we came out of that having done good business, having told a good story, having got everybody invested in, and we came out with a sort of warped respect and affection for each other, in which I'm sure we'd love to do that to each other again, and see who's the better man. And I'm extremely happy to see the things that have happened for him. I mean, wrestling Jonathan Gresham was a bit. They've all been fantastic. I think that the thing for me that's a huge deal was I was able to work against people who trained me. I was able to have a match with Mike Bird in Wales. I was able to. My first defense was Eddie Dennis in Wales.
Yeah.
And that was a huge deal for me. Eddie has had such a huge part in my training. At times he's been a friend, at times he's been a mentor, and at times he's been an even better enemy. So that was being able to do that with him was a huge honor for me. I'm just trying to think. Yeah. So in terms of title defenses, I mean, there's been a lot of them. I have defended this belt more than many of the previous champions have, which is a funny thing. So long may it continue. Long may the Lord reign. Long may the vulture fly.
And that's I can understand that totally. And I guess the last match between you and Tom Dawkins, let's say, resulted in him winning back his persona. Has that caused any doubt going into this match, which is a first for Progress here and the big cage match?
It's a really interesting question. I wouldn't say it was doubt. I don't think it's doubt that I feel. I think it's more. It's more a question. It's just more a question, and it's a question I have to answer for myself. It was my thought to do this in the cage. It was my thought to, and as far as I'm aware, Cara Noir, as we must call him Cara Noir now, he's certainly earned that right. Was very much in agreement and was in and wants to see too. I just want to there's a question there. There's an asterisk next to me now, and that either has to be removed, or I have to carry that asterisk with me for the rest of my life. And those are the only two options. And the idea is to just keep everybody out. It's just him and me one last time. He holds a victory over me as Tom Dawkins, but now he holds a victory over me. I'm the champion. The championship has to be put on the line, and it's just time once and for all to keep everybody out, and then just to keep everybody else out, just keep the two of us in there, and just beat each other to a bloody pulp, and just see who comes out on top. And I wouldn't say it was doubt. I don't have any doubts. I'm very confident in who I am. I'm very confident in my ability. I'm extremely confident that I'm the right person for the position that I'm in. But there are people who don't think that, and there are people who don't think that. And those people need to be proved wrong, and I need to see for myself. So, as I say in the promo that went out that did so well, as I said in that promo, I would rather walk through this world with nothing than live in his shadow. And so I would rather, so that's what I would rather.
Yeah. And it's it's that promo, I mean, we are so excited, and look, a sellout crowd, testament to you. Everything you said a year ago to me, probably the start of May 2022, you've done. But now this is that cage match. Does this feud end with this cage match? Is this it? This is the defining moment between Spike Trivet and Cara Noir. Is this what says everything about the absolute brutality that's gone on between the two of you?
This is it.
Wow.
This is it. It's over. Sorry, 1 second. Let me just grab something here. Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, I had a bit of a technical thing over here.
No
say again, sorry.
This is it. This is the final match between you and Cara Noir. There's nothing after this.
Sorry. No, this is it. We don't owe anything to each other after this. I owe him nothing. He owes me nothing. As far as I'm concerned, once this is over, I'm done with him and he's done with me. Maybe down the line we can see each other in different ways. Maybe down the line we'll have to reignite this. I dare say that me and Tom Dawkins will ever be on the same page. I dare say that we'll never ever be on the same page. We'll always find a reason to dislike each other, and if worse comes to worse, we'll always find a reason to get our hands on each other, and tear each other apart. But as it comes to this feud, this rivalry that started, I think a lot of people think that this rivalry started in in May last year when we had the match, but it didn't. This rivalry started before we even came back from the pandemic. This rivalry started in the Peckham shows, when I requested to speak to him, when I requested to have a shot at the title from him, because I had a 5-match win streak, which has still, I think, not been replicated in singles matches since then. I still think that has not been replicated. Wow. So, which is a funny thing to think about. And I asked him and he said no, and he said no for no reason. And that happened, that was in 2021. So for me, that's when it started. And then obviously it was because of me that he lost the title to Jonathan Gresham. And so it goes back to April last year, maybe even further in terms of in front of live crowds, but it's been going on for a long time. You know, this is the culmination of 2.5 years. The seeds of this were planted 2.5 years ago, and so it has to end. It's got to come to its conclusion, and yeah, and with conclusions come definite answers, and that's what both of us are looking for.
Yeah, and I guess then I'll end with a final question. I know, you know, you may think it, and I know it's a big if, but if Cara is to beat you, and I know it's a big if, what would be next for Spike Trivet? Is that something you're even thinking about?
I think that if Cara Noir were to become the champ, were to finally come out on top of this, then he takes the strap, he becomes the king of the castle once again, he stands at the top of the British industry, but the only way is up, and the vulture must fly, and I will find my way to bigger and better things. But for the moment, I mean, what's the day today? It's Wednesday. We are 4 days from the cage match, and it's all I'm thinking about. So I'm not really thinking much beyond it, but I do know that the only way is up from there, and it can only be the only way is up for both of us. But regardless of what happens, you haven't seen the last of the vulture.
Amazing. Spike, thank you very much for your time. I must say, looking so much forward to it. I've loved the feud. Can't wait to see how it culminates. Good luck. And yeah, I'll see you on Sunday. All the very best.
Thank you, Lee. Cheers.
Take care, man. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.